Welcome to Final Thoughts Podcast, brought to you by CrossfaderLA.com, blending culture and creativity.
All right, guys, welcome back to Final Thoughts Podcast. We're glad to have you here on this beautiful Sunday morning. We're about to dive into our normal routine. We're going to talk about the news. We're going to talk about singles of the week, and we're going to dive into the album of the week as well. We're about to get into it, and we're going to start with the news. And since I'm hosting this week, I'll start with the big news that I think is nothing new, but since it was brought up by Billboard, and they're a well-respected music company that always, I'm gonna say 99.9 gets it right. They came out last week and ranked Illmatic as the best rap album of all time.
Oh my gosh.
So just so there's no secret that's been around, but since they reported that last week, I think I had to talk about that first. Let you guys know. If you haven't listened to it, please stop what you're doing, put it on. If you're driving, pull over to the side, find it on your favorite app, play it, listen to it. 5 mic recipient, 2021 inducted to the Library of Congress. Nas is one of the top 10 lyricists of all time, if not ranked higher, but I'm gonna give other people some space to think they belong up there. But yeah, so Nas, Illmatic, best rap album of all time. Go cop it, go listen to it. If anybody wants to comment or hate, go ahead and let us know.
I'll hate.
I've said this before and I'll say it again. I've listened to the Illmatic and I didn't get it. I didn't get the I didn't want me to feel great. But that doesn't mean that I'm right. I could definitely be wrong. And after hearing Father Gim, this news segment, I will definitely go listen to it again. And see if once again, I'm probably the one who's in the wrong here. I'm like pretty confident I'm in the wrong and that there is something special about it, and my ears just didn't pick up on it the first time. So I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna put it back on, and I'm gonna give it another listen and see if it catches me this time.
Hey, I went back to see if any of your guys were on there, and I couldn't find Tyler. I couldn't find Childish. I couldn't find I don't know, anybody else that you like. I mean, I tried. I kept an open mind. Huh?
On Billboard?
Yeah, on Billboard. Billboard Top 100. There's a whole bunch of people. But hey, all I know is Illmatic was number one. So
I gotta see this Billboard Top 100 then.
Honestly, same.
All right, that was my news for article for the week.
Wait. Off the top of your head, brother, what would you say the best album of all time is?
Of all time?
Yeah.
Rap album or just in general though?
No, rap. Billboard said rap album. So I'm saying best rap album of all time in your brain.
Okay.
What is it?
Best rap album of all time in my brain.
Or in your heart. Either or.
Just because you asked me, and I don't know why the wheels aren't turning. Let me just go out on a limb. No, Tyler the Creator, Flower Boy.
Fascinating. Okay.
Tyler the Creator, Flower Boy. There you go.
I was not expecting that, but okay.
All right. What about you, Jeremiah?
Oh, it's Good Kid, Mad City, easily. It's Good Kid, Mad City. It's Good Kid, Mad City, or it's The Cool, actually, because I did really like that album.
Okay. All right. I mean, I think Kendrick was mentioned. Actually, I think in Yahoo? Yahoo ranked Damn the number one rap album of their catalog or whatever. So
that's so interesting. Out of Kendrick's albums, to put Damn up there.
But I don't consider Yahoo or whatever to be well-respected music company. So I'm going with Billboard on this one. So
I thought Yahoo was out of business, honestly.
That's actually a good point. I thought it was out of business too. Now that you said it.
I thought Yahoo was out of business for sure. For those unaware, a little background. Kesha famously separated from her producer, Dr. Luke, a couple of years ago after suing him for abuse and sexual assault, and it was a very huge news story. And a lot of artists came out and solidarity with Kesha and sided with her and vowed not to work with Dr. Luke again in light of the various allegations that presented against him. and kind of took her aside and believed her story and support her in her journey, right? All this good stuff. Katy Perry apparently not one of those people, and she just released a new song called "Woman's World" with Dr. Luke, which a lot of people think it's a bad song, b think that message of woman empowerment and support, etc., feels incredibly hollow when working with someone who was like widely considered to be someone like that is guilty of or at least accused and guilty of like very heinous crimes against women. So a lot of people are like trashing the song, but if for both just being a bad song and for this part of it, and as well, Kesha, like now a newly single artist and not tied down to any producer like she used to be, released her first new single recently, and it did definitively better than Katy Perry's single, which is a lot of people cause for celebration, and think that it's not a victory for Kesha to come out with a song like that and have it do better than a song that was made with her past abuser. So, just that's kind of story of just a tale of Kesha kind of rising up over like a past a really bad past person scenario. And Katy Perry, a lot of people calling the song and the whole situation from Katy Perry kind of out of touch, like desperate. I've seen the word used in different news articles, and yeah, I think it definitely feels like a 2016 song. Uh, which I used to really like Katy Perry in 2016, mind you, but I think what was that look? What was that look?
Honestly, Katy Perry would never be on my list of artists that I really like. So that's just coming up dark.
Oh god, yeah, no, I really liked her one album, like one of her earliest albums. Uh, the one where I forget what it's called off the top of my head. But it's the album where she has that song, "One of the Boys." It's what is it? Quick check. It's gonna bug me. Oh, it's the album "One of the Boys." That's from 2008. 2008 album Katy Perry I really enjoyed. Um, but yeah, her recent work has been kind of left me wanting, and this most recent song and music video on top of that just do feel like they're really not in line with the supposed message of women empowerment that she's going for. So that's what's going on there.
Is Dr. Luke a real doctor?
No.
Is Dr. Dre a real doctor?
No.
There you go. There we go. Thank you, Jamal, for your news story.
You're welcome.
Of course. Yeah. So my news story, I'll keep it rather brief. My news story is in regards to Kanye West announcing his retirement from professional music. A little ironic because his renouncement of his retirement seemed to coincide with him releasing or hopping on Consequences single. It was No Apologies. I think he's on the hook of that. So I just thought it was a little funny that he announced that he was going to retire, and then days later it was on a single. But I'm assuming that's going to be his last work. The more, I guess, interesting part of the story is that apparently, and I'm not on Spotify, so I can't confirm this, he took down Vultures from Spotify. That's what I saw all over the internet, that he took down Vultures, which is very on brand for Kanye. He's always messing with what's up and off streaming. It's one of the things that made me stop really caring about what he dropped, because he would just change what he released after the fact on Spotify or whatever.
It seems to be small here.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Vultures 1. Let's see. I wouldn't know if it's been missing, but it's 15 songs. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I've heard multiple sources say it, but I don't know. So I have no idea what happened, because I've heard the retirement's begun. Yeah, I see like the source is saying that it happened. MSN is saying that it came off. So I don't know if he took it off and put it back up or something. I wouldn't be surprised if he did that.
My question was, who do you think controls what goes up and what comes down?
In this case, I imagine like Kanye or his management, right? Like Kanye just is big enough, I imagine, to control his music going up or down on Spotify. But maybe that's wrong. I don't know.
I would assume I think it's whoever owns the music. It just depends on your deal. I think Kanye right now is releasing music on like whatever I think whatever Kanye releases right now, I'm pretty sure he owns that. I believe. So
he owns the masters.
the reason why I ask is because I was just laughing. This I don't know, just segues into what happened last week. And I hate to every week we're talking about Kendrick and Drake or whatever, but last week if you asked Siri to play certified lover boy or whatever, it would play They Not Like Us. So I was just wondering who would, either program it or hack it that way. So I'm assuming whoever can put the music up can take it down, or I don't know how they hacked in
Well,
and
okay,
changed it, but
that's different though. That is if that happened, that is then the people who control the voice command function of Alexa or whoever else to redirect it to play Not Like Us. That's not
oh,
like
that's
the
true.
streaming service like changing who
Yeah, yeah,
how that
yeah. Yeah,
right.
yeah, you're right.
I never believed that story from the start. I didn't believe that actually happened.
Oh, it did. I saw it. It was on multiple news sources.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. It was all the way. I think it was like on MSNBC and some other news channels or whatever, music news channels, but it was definitely a thing.
That's interesting. I was gonna say, speaking of things I thought were, I should say, things others I thought were retired. Consequence. Haven't heard from that guy in some decades now.
No, dude, he's no, 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 no. He's been active. He's been active. Yeah, dude, like nonstop active. Like even through his health challenges or whatever, he's been active. And he's got his son. Oh man, I can't think of his son's name, but he's Consequence has been super active. And I don't know if you know this, he has major beef with Talib Kweli. So like over the last like year or 2 years, I mean I've seen Consequence go live and just basically just disrespect Talib in ways that shouldn't even be allowed. I mean, he was just talking mad. I don't know what exactly it is, but Consequence isn't afraid to put hands on somebody. But maybe a couple years back, he was on some show with Joe Budden, and he sucker punched the shit out of Joe Budden, just like
No way.
took off on him. Yeah, so Consequence, um, he's active. I'll leave it at that. But he's been putting out work. He put out I think a couple of singles over the last couple years, and I think he may have even dropped an album. Probably didn't do well since Kanye kind of went sideways and started doing different things. Their relationship kind of separated for a little bit. I think Consequence was even upset with Kanye for just saying some of the things that he was saying, some of the rhetoric, and he wasn't trying to part ways with Kanye, but he was definitely giving Kanye some space while he was going through whatever he's going through. So to hear them back on an album together is kind of refreshing. But yeah, Consequence hasn't left the game. He's been putting in a work for these last couple of years.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, it's good to know. Now that you've told me that Consequence is not afraid to get violent, let me just make sure my opinion's clear. Consequence is an amazing artist who I fully support, and I think I wish him nothing but the best in his musical endeavors. There's no other reason I'm saying that other than him being the artist. Just have that out there.
There you go.
The song "No Apologies," I heard it. I listened to it in advance of this to get the news, be the news relevant. And it's the chorus is like it's paraphrasing here. We're not making apologies for the things we had to do to get rich, and I feel like that's not a person I want to piss off. I feel like that's someone that would in fact throw hands with me to get if he thought it would make him some more money. And that's fair.
Good point.
All right, so now we dive into our singles of the week, and since I went first last time, I'll throw it to one of you guys to jump in here and talk about our singles of the week. What, Jeremiah? What's the matter?
I thought we were calling them single seconds. That was the
That
whole
was all
the
you.
whole
That was all
pitch.
you, Jamal. No one else. No one else
All
that can
right,
let's call it single seconds.
all right.
Hey guys, welcome to Single Seconds, where we're here with Jeremiah, John, and myself. And our singles of the week are, and I'll let Jeremiah go first since we just named this portion after his phenomenal and bright idea. And we'll get it trademark and copywritten as well.
We fucking better. All right, that's important to me. My single of the week, though, also important to me. It's by a band that's really I really like, the Crane Wives. Very talented band, very talented. I've seen them live in concert; they're very good. And their new single is "A Bitter Medicine," which is a really fun. I actually, it's not a very fun song, but it's a song that feels a lot like a lot of Crane Wife songs, in that it's very like not very much like relies on a lot of like really fun instrumentation from the band. And the main singer like really pouring like their heart and soul into the thing that she's singing. The song itself seems to be a lot about like insecurity and like self doubt, but it's one of those songs where you wouldn't really know at a first glance from how like catchy the actual like music is of the song. Uh, but, kind of just like that, the good old Outcast days of uh, Hey Ya, right? Uh, it's kind of similar vibe to that in that way, but yeah, it's a really interesting song. I don't know if it is super different, honestly, from a lot of songs that they already have on their albums. Like, if you said, "Hey, is this song like a new direction from the Plain Lives?" I'd say no, no. It's more of what they're good at. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. If you're good at something, I wouldn't don't feel the need to switch it up unnecessarily. And I think this Plain Lives song, "Better Medicine," is them just doing more of what they're good at. So if you guys like the Crane Wives, or if you like a really good band music, I think this is a really good song to go check out.
Hey, I'm gonna go back to one of the songs you talked about. I think on the previous episode, the Sabrina, what's her name? Sabrina Carpenter. Uh, yeah, and your single of the weekend, you were talking about how you know you felt like you had this 70s, 80s groovy feel to it. And then when I went back and listened to it, I realized that they had sampled a song from the 70s called Just Another Brick in the Wall by Pink Floyd. And that song was major. Like that was probably like his best hit that everyone knows him for. So when I realized the connection, I was like, I know why this song felt the way it does. And it's because of that sample that they it may have been interpolation or a sample. I'm not sure, but definitely I recognized it as soon as I listened to it. So yeah, I just wanted to tell you that was I understand why it was good because it had a nice vibe to it. All right, John, let's go to you.
All right, so I have what I feel like is a very lighthearted and really, in my opinion, not all that serious single of the week. I'm talking about "Did It First" by Ice Spice and Central C. I listened to the song a couple times. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like it's something crazy. It's just another song. The reason I want to talk about it is because I feel like Ice Spice's career trajectory and her current, what I think maybe her and Central C's maybe current marketing ploy maybe is very interesting. So obviously you all know Ice Spice. She came on the scene. I forgot what the song she had was, but she was on the Barbie soundtrack. She had that song with Pink Panther. So she was making a couple waves in the music community. But I feel like it kind of came to I feel like for her it kind of already came to a peak, and right now she's trying to continue to push. But all of her singles weren't working. No one was listening. Like no one was really looking out for the new Ice Spice drop. People were clowning her album cover because I think they put like the name of the album over a trash can. So people were joking her like, yo, like who's doing this stuff for you? Like this isn't working out. So she changed the album cover. And apparently she began dating Central C, which is a rapper from I believe London. He's dope. He has a couple songs that are on the radio. He has a freestyle with Drake, so I know of him for sure. Um, and the marketing that's happening here is apparently they're dating now, and people are saying it's just it's just a move to draw more attention to them. The reason why people are talking about this specifically is because Central C had a girlfriend, and Central C's girlfriend made a post talking about, I didn't know apparently he's just cheating on me with Ice Spice, so he didn't tell me. Which is ironic because the first line of the song is Ice Spice saying, "If he cheated, I'm doing him worse." So it's kind of a mess. It's kind of a whole mess that people are talking about online right now with Central C and Ice Spice maybe being together, but it's probably just fake. and they're probably just doing it for marketing. But Central sees girlfriends coming out and saying, "Well, if they're doing it for marketing, no one gave me a heads up that they were gonna do this," and it's just a huge mess. Ice Spice seems cool enough. I hope her album isn't a flop, but I just don't. I feel like Ice Spice, not to be rude, came on the scene, didn't really. People were already saying like she's not spinning that great. People are just attracted to her, and I feel like we're getting to the point where that isn't paying the bills. That is paying the bills, but that's not like driving new people to listen anymore because people already know that like she doesn't really rap that amazing. So I hope the album works out. I hope the single is a success, but overall it seems like she's trying to find something to, boost attention to her name.
My single of the week is going to be Quick, Simple, Easy. The name of the song is called Love Goes, and it's by a gentleman named Mayor Hawthorne. Mayor Hawthorne has been around since 2008. He kind of has a soul, neo soul, retro soul sound. His first album, A Strange Arrangement. That to me is like one of those albums that if you're bored and you want to try to listen to something new, something soulful, even John, you talk about Marvin Gaye's album being like one of your favorite albums. Like this album, Strange Arrangement, is definitely an album that people should take time to go listen to. But he's talented. He's super talented. And this song "Love Goes" hits hard. The drum break on this album is dope. They actually released it as a single with the instrumental on the B side, and I can see a lot of rappers flipping this beat. So I don't know if anybody's gonna be smart enough to do it, but it's a very dope song. So like I said, Mayor Hawthorne's been around since 2008. He's released about 10 albums, and Love Goes just dropped last week, and it's fucking good. So check it out. You'll be attached here to our playlist in case you guys missed it and we didn't mention it before. And we're going to talk about the album of the week. There'll be a drum roll somewhere in here. And it is Eminem's album, The Death of Slim Shady. And I'm sure that there's a ton of different reviews about this album. So I'll open it up to our biggest Eminem, I'm not going to say hater, but not a fan, Jeremiah. Let's go.
I resent that accusation, actually. You gotta understand, from the time I was to listen to music, Eminem was my favorite rappers, actually. So I resent being introduced as, like, oh, our biggest hater. No, funny enough, I'm a bigger Eminem hater. I'm pretty sure I'm the biggest Eminem hater here. I think that's true. I think generally I like Eminem stuff. I love giving Eminem shit, and he deserves it every time. I like Kamikaze a lot, honestly. I just this album is like the albums where Eminem's not on drugs. We get it. I don't think he's on drugs on this album, but I think he's trying to act like he is, right? I get the story of the album. I understand what he's doing. You get the concept of the concept album. Yeah, exactly. The concept being, at least how I read it, right, is that Slim Shady's back with the vengeance, like a Batman fucking villain, and he's trying to get Eminem canceled all these like different songs. Eminem's like, no, and then this album ends with Eminem killing Slim Shady finally. I get that as like overall, but I know it doesn't end there. There's more comes out afterwards because it was all a dream, right? I just didn't find. I did not find that overall narrative compelling. Person, I think it should have been compelling, but I didn't find this execution of it compelling from my narrative overall. And at least for me, if I think from my point, but for me, the appeal of the Slim Shady persona has worn off with the more listen to Eminem. Like when I was younger, like when I was listening to him the first couple times, like in my heyday, I really enjoyed some of those songs, right? But I think nowadays on this album, I just found a lot of Slim Shady's lyrics and what he's doing. I found it to be frustrating. So I just that's kind of being annoyed about it, and that's just me. I think it might vary for sure, but I just I think it was not for me, and that's fine. I did, as you said, I don't, in fact, though, think that Eminem himself, like, he rapped poorly necessarily in this album at all, right? I think the lyrics are really good, the deliveries, like, overall pretty good. I just find, like, the content and the narrative surrounding the album itself to be kind of annoying. And then some songs in particular that Slim Shady does, like, the goal is to get him canceled and to be a certain way. And like, I don't think that I really don't get canceled. I just find them very annoying. I don't like listening to them. Like Antichrist, for instance, I'm just like, I'm like, all right, I get it. You didn't like the Diddy? You didn't like him dissing Diddy?
No, I love that. I'll give him that. That was great. Fuck Diddy.
No, fuck Diddy. Apparently, sorry. Apparently he's done with this. Like, there's like multiple Diddy disses throughout the album. I heard a couple, but apparently the album's just littered with him dissing Diddy.
I believe it. The Eminem really like falls back on specific like references a lot. Like he references Caitlyn
Yes, he
Jenner a
does.
lot in this album. I don't even know this, right? Caitlyn Jenner gets referenced a lot. I think Scholar Gay gets a shout out at some point. So yeah, there's just a lot of stuff he falls back on that I'm not a fan of from my abilities. I find some of it in poor taste, even with the Slim Shady persona. So like overall, just not for me. But I don't think musically it's all that bad. Truthfully, it's just like everything around it that makes me go, yeah, that's just me, brother. I think you're different thought, right? You're a bit different. You know this one.
Yeah. I think overall, I think I'm a fan of this album. I think the concept album really works for me. Obviously, with the concept being, this is him this is Slim Shady trying to come back and him killing Slim Shady. To summarize the story into a couple sentences. Obviously, there are events throughout that in his story, but I think the concept album really works for me. I feel like I think the thing that I'm giving Eminem more credit than he deserves, maybe. So part of it is that I'm sitting here and I'm fully well aware that I don't think Eminem, who as he was writing this concept album, was like, oh, I'm gonna get canceled by saying this. I don't think Eminem was thinking that. I don't think Eminem was like actively like, oh, they're gonna cancel me. I think he's just poking fun at the thought of being canceled, and I think he's well aware. And I think the idea that it's Slim Shady's idea that he's gonna say these things to get canceled, and it's gonna be a big deal. I think I think Eminem too much credit. I think that whole idea is just to show that Slim Shady's an idiot. Like Slim Shady, like he's just like that's the idea of a person who's stupid, right? Like I think a lot of what this album does is, yeah, he says a lot of things as Slim Shady that are in poor taste, but I think there is in my opinion, it's pretty clear that Slim Shady is supposed to be the idiot, the loser, like obviously, he helped them get to success, but like don't think like you shouldn't be saying, oh, that's Slim Shady's, killing on the mic, he's the dopest. Like, nah. But he says it's annoying when he says it's stupid. When Slim Shady is like, oh, that was just a joke, he's like, no, it's not. Like it's embarrassing. Like I think he's really like talking down to the Slim Shady persona. And I think that's why for me it works, because he does. I think he should have spent more time talking down the Slim Shady persona. And I think more time explaining why I think he should have spent more time explaining why the Slim Shady persona even ever came to be. But I think that, like I said, the concept album works for me, and while he's saying a lot of things that are obviously in poor taste and disrespectful, I think because music culture and society gave him a pass to do that as Slim Shady before, I think the concept album works for me now because he has to do that again to perform this concept album. He can't do this concept album if Slim Shady isn't saying things that aren't terrible. If he's just saying, like he has to push that envelope as Slim Shady for this concept album to work. And like I said, I think I'd be giving him more credit than he deserves, because I'm sitting here thinking that like, okay, he has to say that for Slim Shady to even be on the album. Like he has to do these things. But I don't think if he wasn't doing this concept album, I don't think Eminem would be saying these things, which is why it works for me, which is why I can give him that pass, which is why I can kind of digest the music a little bit more, because I am viewing it. I'm seeing all of these lines through the persona that he already got a pass to do previously. For him to bring it back, he has to do it again. And like I said, I don't think he'd do it if it wasn't already a thing. He wouldn't invent some Shady, in this day and age, which is why I can kind of digest this out more. Yeah, I get that. I think just for me, it's kind of like it's a twofold. It's like one, a movie where they write a character whose purpose is to be annoying and they succeed too well, and it's like, all
Okay,
right,
yeah,
well,
I get that. Yeah.
that's kind of how I feel it is for me. And secondly, I think this album for me was crying out for like more songs like what's the favorite song called? It's called something where he like finally confronts them and like kind of dives into the relationship. Like more songs like that, right? Where they're kind of talking about like you said, like well, why came to be, like why he came back, like and kind of I feel and more from Eminem during this kind of back and forth they have. It feels very Slim Shady heavy to me. Uh, but that's sweet. Father, what's up in this one?
First off, I'm gonna just say that I'm deeply impressed by both of your guys' views on the album, the contrast, and the overall concept of the album, right? Some of that stuff went over my head till I heard you guys kind of bring it to light. And I understood because I read, some of the articles that this is a conceptual album, and I get it. He's trying to I think he's let's say put Slim Shady, um, put him out of retirement. I mean, put him into retirement. Get rid of him. I think Eminem has matured. From his first album to now. Obviously, he's grown, different concept. And for me, and as I mentioned to you guys before we got on the podcast, how I felt about certain songs, and I think the song that stood out to me the most was "Temporary," and that was if I didn't really care for the album, I'll tell you that when I heard that song, it definitely struck a nerve with me. And so it just kind of made me, how he put something out that said, this is a conceptual album, so if you don't listen to it in order, you're not really gonna grasp the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, I was the guy that didn't listen to it in order. So I can tell you that. Well, because I started listening to it, right? I started listening to it, and and I was taking notes, like I thought like Trouble, the beat was crazy dope, and it was only 42 seconds long. I even told you guys like that might have been the best song on the album. That's what and that was when I was just getting into it. But there were songs like Brand New Dance that I'm just like, this is not me, like I just
Brand New Dance is the worst song on the album, but it might work in it might work in this concept album realm. It might work as a piece of a concept album, but that song was trash. That's just a bad song.
Right. So it's just certain songs that I was just, I've been listening to music for as long as I've been alive, and there's just certain songs and that, yeah, I just know, especially DJing and making beats and sampling. There's just certain songs that you just know you're just not gonna like or appreciate, and it's like why torture your ears listening to it? Like I know we have to be objective and give things a chance, but uh, after 15 seconds, I know whether I'm gonna like it or not. And so for a Brand New Dance, that definitely got the big skip button after just a few seconds. But some of these other tracks, like I said, Lucifer, Antichrist. I really like Lucifer. I thought that was really dope. But Eminem can spit. Eminem is such a talented lyricist, and to hear him spitting versus a lot of the other people out there right now, I give Eminem his credit for his ability to spit, and him going back and forth with Big Sean and Baby Tron. I mean, it's just you can't take anything away from that. Eminem is a talented rapper, and I understand why he made the comment like, I don't know how these people think they're better than me when I rip them on their own albums. Like I get that. Like hearing him spit and just actually dissecting most of this album. I mean, the shit that he comes with, the bars that says, even the disrespectful shit that had my mouth going, damn, did he just say that? Did he just say that about Christopher Reeve again? Did he just say that about Caitlyn Jenner? Did he just say that about Kurt Cobain? I mean, he was just, dude, there's like shock value to listening to Eminem. And it's almost borderline. Like I almost have to ask myself, like, should I be listening to this? Because half of this shit is so controversial. It's like I don't want to come on here and say I'm supporting the stuff he's saying because obviously I don't. But then when you realize it's a conceptual album and that is the way he's packaging it to get it to the masses, but that's been his I don't want to say gimmick, but that's been his thing since day one. And like John said, so he's already had a past doing this. He's kind of got to end it on it. I didn't see it that way at first, but when you just mention it right now, I get it and I understand it. The album overall, it's I think it's one of his better albums. I think on our previous podcast we talked about Eminem should just give it up. I mean, dude, he's been around forever. Hang it up, call it a day, go away. But I think he delivered on this album, and if this is his last album, I think he did solid work on it.
I think he must have watched an episode. I think I exactly said Eminem probably has one more good album in him. And I think the fact that he came back with him killing Slim Shady for his what I think will be his final album, or at least his his last big album. I think he listened. I think he heard me. I think he was trying to. He said, "All right, I got you."
Yeah, so there you go. Heard it here first on Violent Thoughts Podcast. See, man, all you other rappers out there, just listen and let us tell you what to do next, and your trajectory will change. There you go. So,
What songs did you like in Benny Jeremiah? I'm curious.
You know what's funny? I really enjoyed the beat of Brand New Dance. Actually,
No way! You were Brand New Dance?
yeah.
No wonder you like old Eminem. You were 2000 Eminem, you 2003 Eminem. Eminem is the one that shake that ass. Something that's just right.
I love that song.
Yep.
Man, that
Man,
was the Eminem I was raised on.
you're enabling. You're a Slim Shady enabler. I didn't know that. Okay, you enable it.
Okay,
hey, don't say you were raised on that.
that
Well, I did a much better job than that. Don't say that.
Oh my gosh.
it was Eminem, it was Lupe, it was Kanye. You know, I feel like that's
Kanye.
and which it's wild that 27 years later, how those three have aged, and like who I would think would be currently the most controversial of those three is not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I do like Guilty Conscience too. That's what it's on, where he confesses.
Yeah, I do like
I do like Guilty Conscience too. I think in my ideal world, this album builds up to Guilty Conscience to a little better, right? Where he is, I think, having more. Because to me, this album feels like personally, it feels like that was the conception, but in reality, it's a lot of Eminem letting the Slim Shady persona run rampant until he finally put a stop to it on this song, and doesn't really engage with like if it's real, the question of like why is Slim Shady saying all that stuff, and because of that, it feels like okay, you have in fact like Slim Shady out, Slim Shady's doing this thing, and I get that there's a point to that, but they have to listen to like 6 songs to get the point at Slim Shady's here doing.
If I could give him a little defense on that, even though I do agree, I'm kind of just playing devil advocates here because I do wish there was more of like Eminem and Slim Shady going back and forth in that dynamic. I agree with you. To play devil's advocate, I think that if this is the death of Slim Shady and this is the last time we're going to get Slim Shady, and he has all these fans out here who do like really enjoy that persona, I understand why he's like, well, let me go a little bit heavy-handed on this Slim Shady stuff because after this I'm done. Like I'm not doing it again. So let's just get it all out right here. Let's go on a 6-track run of just Slim Shady because I'm not coming back to it. Like I can see that being his perspective when he's putting the album together.
That's fair. I think that's fair. I think if Slim Shady ever comes back, this album even instantly gets worse for me.
Dude,
yeah, it would ruin it for sure.
If Slim Shady ever came back, in my opinion, this album would change drastically.
I agree. I was album with like sick for me and ready if it came back.
I agree. Because then all the stuff that Slim Shady says, I feel like if he brings Slim Shady back after this, then I feel like I just think the album wasn't necessary. So then everything he said in this album, he's just saying for shock value, and it's disappointing at that point to me.
Yeah, I agree.
It could also be the ghost of Slim Shady. You never thought you would say?
Oh my God, the ghost of Slim Shady EP.
Yes, be responsible. Be responsible for your own persona, man. Like
what's so funny?
Hire the Ghostbusters or some shit. I don't know. Unrelated but related. I'm really excited for whenever Jid drops a new album because Jid's always like a treat whenever he does a
song. Feature on this album, yeah.
He killed it too.
He killed it, right? Like I've never just like a Jid song, honestly. So like I'm really like hyped for whenever he drops next, personally. So that's besides the point. But I think the 2 point I think my favorite song is probably Fuel because of the Jid feature and then maybe also Guilty Conscience too. Perhaps going against my point a little bit, I didn't really care for a lot of the songs past Guilty Conscience too. I didn't hate any of them, but like none of them really spoke to me. I thought I would like Toby because of the Big Sean feature, and I kind of don't. I
Really?
don't. Yeah, I think I need to listen to it again. But I remember being
Yeah, give
like,
him some more spins.
yeah, I'll get you that spin for sure.
Yeah,
Give him some more spins. Toby's really good.
you got bit by a goat.
Oh, that is that song. Yeah, I thought that was funny. I did enjoy that part of that song. Yeah, I'll give some more spins. You're right.
I think as the father of the clique here, I think Temporary is just going to be the one that just stands out. And I think most parents that listen to that song, if they listen to it all the way through, are going to gravitate towards that song. So I think, the substance and the content of that song, I thought that was just, the concept was just so deep or whatever. And I felt that out of any song that I've heard from Eminem, I felt like he put his heart and soul into that song. I believe every verse that he spit on that song. You know what I mean? Like I said, I just think he just put his soul into that track, and it reflects when I hear it. So
So for me, then my favorite songs. So I think I have 2 favorite songs. Toby was one of my favorite songs. I think I feel like that's the the popular song on the album. That's the one that will probably get the most attention. I like the hook. I like everything about it. That song is that's overall a good song. That song could be a single on its own. That would just be a very popular hot track. So no need to that. I don't even feel like it ties that well into the whole concept album here, but it's good. So we take it for what it is. But the song I like a lot as well. I really enjoyed Road Rage. I thought Road Rage was really solid. I feel like it's the first point in the album where we see Eminem kind of take off the mask a little bit of some Shady and talk a little bit about what is going on. Yeah, I thought it was a really good song. I thought it was really catchy. I like the beat. I like the hook. I think Eminem does a good job of explaining his thoughts. I'll say I think he does a good job of explaining his thoughts, controversial or not. And yeah, I think that song definitely stood out to me. I listened to it a couple times after I went past it.
I know when I took notes, I was for Guilty Conscience too. I was just like, damn, he's making fun of but he's doing it throughout the whole album. But for some reason, and in Guilty Conscience 2 or whatever, that what stood out to me. He's making fun of special needs people, short people. It was just, I don't know, it just stood out to me more in that song than other songs. But it was one of those ones where I was like, I think that's when I texted you guys like, hey, is this going to be okay? Because this is like super controversial as far as the subject matter and everything, all the people he's dissing on this album.
I mean, no, I feel like it shouldn't be, because like when he starts the track, he's one of the tracks of the album. He starts it and he goes like fuck blind people, fuck deaf people, and it's just like he's just talking about anybody. Like he's just gonna start a song saying fuck blind people, fuck deaf people. Me and Johnson heard that, we started laughing because it's like, bro, like that's just John. Like, I can't take that seriously. Like that's just that he's obviously he's not trying to be a forefront of philosophy and thought. She's just talking shit because that's what Slim Shady does, and that you couldn't help but laugh at that.
I will say there is. This is little. I want to introduce this idea, right? This idea, because I read a review about this album that's interesting, that accused this album not without reason, but accused it of punching down a lot in who was targeting in particular. In particular on songs like Road Rage, for instance, with who it's talking about, etc., and different jokes on the album in general. Like even with a day like Slim Shady, and understanding the intent of it, there was this critique that because of who it's talking about, it's like punching down to groups that even understanding the song wouldn't find some of these things funny. And I don't know. I'm curious what y'all think about that.
I mean, I think I feel like Slim Shady's always punching down, right? Like I think my problem with with I don't know if judging is the right word. It might be. I think my problem with judging this album based on the lyrical content in that sense is just the fact that Eminem went triple diamond, doing this exact thing. So like I said, once again, for him to do this concept album, he has to come back and do this thing that was wildly successful. So of course it's gonna have some moments where it feels like he's punching down, or it feels like he's saying something that is straight up like, dude, why would you say that? But that's just what the Slim Shady persona does and did, and hopefully no longer continues to exist. But I think that is just bound to be part of this album as a concept album.
That's fair. That makes sense.
I mean, the same character that Eminem puts on in his music, I mean, we see it in movies and see it in other forms of media, and people go crazy for it. Even if it's anything as far as like horror movies, whether it's the Scream or any of these cult classics or whatever, where you have characters out there killing people, whatever. People by the millions go see these movies and are entertained by it. So when you listen to Eminem's album, and if you're just there for entertainment value only, then he delivers a solid album. But if you're going to hold him accountable for the things that he's saying, I mean, you'd have to basically, we need to do that for a lot of other people, because I understand like everything that he says, like it is kind of like shock value when he says it, but I've heard a lot worse from politicians. You know what I mean? So it's his
Right, but that's not
personal.
but like we don't know if people aren't doing that, politicians, right? Like people for all we know could in fact say people who listen to this album and have a problem with it and would probably like then I think we should with politicians. Like we don't necessarily not know that they're not. Um but like I think what the good point is true. Like he's made a lot of money with this. He's been very very successful with this. And also he's also just been very upfront with this part of his public persona for like some years now. I think there is a level to a level of like at this point you will know if this album is for you or not, like pretty early on as well. Like if that persona isn't for you, if you don't like that kind of humor or whatever, if you like that's a pretty easy just like all right, not for me, move on, right? Um, other thought I had, I didn't like Temporary, honestly.
No, I didn't either. The song, it's sentimental and deep and all that, but I didn't actually enjoy the song Temporary. I had not. I listened to it once and I never went back.
Well, okay, I agree with that. And also, it reminded me too much of When I'm Gone from his other album. And I was like, oh, I've heard this before. I've heard Eminem, yeah, I've heard Eminem kind of give this like very similar, like post-mortem talk to his kids about his life and like
So that's one of the things that I will ding this album on. Why I like the album a lot, one thing that I can definitely ding it for is that a lot of these songs he's done on I think the album overall is better than a lot of his last work, but there are definitely certain songs in this album, especially the ones that are a little more sentimental, that you can take a track from one of his older albums that is actually better, but was on a worse album overall, and it's a better song, and it could work here on this album. Like for example, Bad One. I hate Bad One. You can scratch Bad One off the list. Take Bad Guy from the Marshall Mathers LP2, I think, and then it's a better song. Somebody Save Me. I like Somebody Save Me. I think it's a cool song, but you could take that off the album. Take Castle and A Rose off of Revival. Those are two better songs. They say the exact same thing. So I think that like while he's trying to there are a lot of messages that he's done multiple times, and I definitely feel like you know I've been an Eminem hater for a couple of years now because a lot of his albums have been trashed, and I think this is kind of the proof that he could have not put out those albums. He could have saved those good songs for an actual good album, and we'd have a 10 out of 10 here. But because he already used some of those tracks, he has to make a new version of the track, and I think having to make a second version of a song you've already done really well, it's hard to top it on your own.
Could you imagine a world where Eminem has the same concept album and Slim Shady's making the argument that you need me, and as a rebuttal, the next song is Rap God, and that's just Eminem.
Yes, exactly. See? Like you could do something like that. Like I think he should have done this years ago, but he was straight. The thing you have to consider definitely with this is that Eminem as a person has a lot that he's struggling with. You know, obviously like for all the money and wealth he has, it hasn't been an easy journey for him. So I don't. While I don't like a lot of his music, I don't blame it. I actually don't personally have any ill will towards him for putting out terrible albums. He was going through a lot. He needed to put out Recovery, which Recovery's fine. He needed to put out Revival. Revival's bad. You know, and I think Revival really hit him. I think he knows that no one likes Revival. So you know, like I don't blame him for having those misses. But I think this album could have been better if we didn't have those misses in his catalog.
I think for me, I agree with like the idea that this album clearly is showing like trying to farm in some ways, and I agree that like I think for me, I feel like this album really could have benefited from Eminem having more confidence in his own persona, not just from Shady's persona. Because I'm thinking of like the past few years, he's had really good songs on other albums, right? Like even on the bad albums, there have been songs I'm like, okay, you know what, that's pretty good. And I just feel like bringing the energy here, having a conversation with the Slim Shady persona would have made for an overall more compelling like story for me.
On a scale of 1 to 5, what's your vote on this album?
The songs that are good are really good, and like I don't think there are like certainly is an awful song, but like the songs I just really don't like personally. I think coming into this, I haven't read it a lot, or but we're talking to you guys a little more about it. I feel like I'm a little bit more forgiving of it. Assuming Slim Shady stays there, right?
I agree.
I think for me, it might be at 3.5.
Okay.
3.5 is fair. Out of 5, a 4 would be an 8 out of 10, so I'll go 4.
You go 4. I think I'm gonna go with your brother on this one, and I'll do a 3.5 too.
I can see that. I think 3.5 is solid. I think that it's definitely 3.5 is a reasonable target. I think like I said, I enjoyed it a little bit more. I think that some of these songs will stay in my rotation, and once again, I think I as I listen to the album, I feel like I'm giving Eminem too much credit on how aware he is of the things that he's saying. Like I feel like for example, he talks down towards Caitlyn Jenner a lot on the album.
He does. Yeah. Actually, could we talk about that?
Or I think I'm giving too much credit because I think he did that intentionally because they are a bad person. They are a terrible. That is a terrible person that he's talking about. It's not like that's a person that you would want to go out and defend. So like it makes sense that that's a person he's gonna bully all album. Like I can get behind him bullying her all day long. Like yeah, do it, bully them. I think that's I think he was intentional with that. If he wasn't, then I'm just giving him too much credit. I can't get behind him bullying Christopher Reeves because I can't find anything. There's nothing. I was trying to look into that. Like, what's the reason for that? Didn't say there's any rhyme or reason. So that that to me was just weird. Like I don't get it. Like I don't know if that's just like an in joke for the Slim Shady fans, but I didn't get that. Like that didn't speak to me in any way. I don't see that as being anything.
Yeah,
other than
that kind of I don't know what that's about.
I didn't get it. That didn't work for me at all.
I think with Caitlyn Jenner specifically, like she's that great person, but I think in general, and I think sometimes some shady Eminem veered a little bit too close to this from my liking, is that you have to be careful about like making fun of her being a trans person, because that ricochets off really easily to like people who are just trans and like, I not live their life, right? And so like that's something where I'm like I would love if in general, even with all jokes, because of how much vitriol like trans people face right now in general. I feel like specifically that like those comments that were really about her like transness to me even felt like more vitriol than they would normally. And like if you're back like in 2010 where like this wasn't much of an issue, I'd be like okay, whatever. But like Trump has put out a video just now saying like we have to let these like outlaw all these trans and things like that, right? So it's a very it's a very volatile like political environment for like people like that.
I agree with you there because I think like I said I think that was his intention. So I can I can understand that, but I do feel like I think you used the perfect word with all the vitriol going around towards trans people right now. It's Like it doesn't. I definitely sit here thinking like, okay, I get why. I think I get why he's doing this, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't have negatives, and it could potentially have a negative impact. And I do think that he tries to. I won't say clean it up because I don't think he'd say clean it up. I do think he tries to clarify on road rage, for example, where he part of the line is like, what are your thoughts on trans rights? I'm all for him, like for real, like for real, I'm all for them. But I don't think I think he could have done more if he's really gonna be an ally after saying all of that. He could have done a lot more than just add a line or two about like, yeah, I'm all for trans rights after saying all these bad things. Like, you know, like I think he could have definitely A, done that. B, if I'm correct, and the reason he talked about Caitlyn Jenner was because they're a bad person, I think he should have focused more on why they're a bad person instead of just bullying them without that context. It's like father had no idea. He didn't have that context. I didn't have that context. So, you know, to me, it comes off a little bit differently. Without that context, it might not come off the same way.
Yeah, honestly, because until you mentioned that, I was like, yeah, why does Eminem keep attacking her specifically? Now I said that I understand like why. Because it's the same reason why like he makes fun of Candace Owens, right? Because Candace Owens is also like a very like controversial, not a great person, but she's like very much like a how do I say it on the air? Candace Owens is very controversial and accused of being very much in the pocket of like right wing media and against Black people rights, despite being a Black person. So like I can see why Eminem would be like, cool, I can make fun of her right, because like most people who like me wouldn't like her, right?
And that's what I thought. I think that's exactly how I saw him talking about Caitlyn Jenner. But like I said, like you were saying, and like I was saying, I don't think he does enough if he's an ally to actually be an ally. While I don't like Caitlyn Jenner, I could never say the lines he said. Like I would never put my mouth. You know, like that's just not okay. But I get why he chose Caitlyn Jenner.
Any other closing notes that we want to add?
Jamal, I thought there's something else you would mention about not just Caitlyn Jenner, but a bigger point about him talking shit. I thought there was. I thought maybe I'm wrong. I thought maybe that was it.
I think the point was about like trans rights, honestly. So we can kind of get onto that. Cause I think that was one of the main things. Mind you, I listened to this album yesterday, and what happened yesterday in the real world that like made all this more relevant to me. So it was just really definitely on the brain. But yeah, I think as long as Slim Shady stays definitively fucking dead, I think my opinions on this album have gone up from having this dialogue with y'all.
I agree. If A, if Slim Shady stays dead, and B, honestly, I never want to hear Eminem say another bad thing about trans people again after this. I think he said it. Like he said enough. Like for this concept album, I gave him a pass. He needs to see. I think not even just trans people in general. I think he if he's gonna release more music, let's stop. I think he definitely has used his bullying pass, you know, as far as he could on this one. Like I think we can talk about uplifting communities and like, you know, fighting drug addiction and getting fentanyl off the streets on the next Eminem album. You know, like we ain't gotta bully people anymore on the next Eminem album.
I agree with that 100%. Well said.
They're not like us. They're not like us. Sorry. Sorry. All right. Well,
Somehow
that's our time, folks.
Somehow Kendrick makes his way on every podcast, though.
Every single episode.
I think that was a really deep discussion on Eminem album. And we even segued into some other topics that definitely need light brought to the forefront. So thank you for your guys' thoughts on this album. It enlightened me, definitely, and I'm part of the cast, and I learned some stuff today. So thank you for sharing your thoughts, and thank you.
Eminem, if you hear this episode, just playing. We still love you.
Oh my god. That's funny.
Thank you.
All right.
Oh.
All right.
There you
As
go.
always, we appreciate your support. Like, subscribe. Find us at multiple different outlets.
YouTube at Crossfader LA, Instagram Final Thoughts, and Crossfader LA the website, Spotify Final Thoughts, Apple Music Final Thoughts, Crossfader LA on Mixcloud, and go buy this hat. And then if you ever see me, you can be wearing a matching hat.
Yeah, there you go.
And click this link, check out the jingle below, which includes all this stuff.
Why do you keep saying the word jingle? Jingle involves there's no music involved with the jingle. There's no jingle. We don't have a jingle.
And with that's our time, folks. We'll see you next week.
No final thoughts jingle. Final thoughts. Final thoughts.